You're tuned into Taiwan Grooves. Let's explore the local music scene. Good day and welcome back to Taiwan Grooves. We're going to continue where we left off last week, interviewing Kyle from Electric Monk. Now in the previous episode we looked at current and past members of the band, how and when the band was created, and we finished off with the topic of stage fright. And that's where we're going to continue today, with Kyle sharing his own improvement from his own experience. The band's music is inspired by the Beatles, Radiohead, punk rock, southern rock, and country music. In this episode, we'll let you enjoy some of the band's songs, so you'll get a better idea of what kind of music they produce. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you'll enjoy it.
So, sort of gradually, by doing some of these things, I got to where I could be, pretty comfortable on stage. I still get nervous, but not especially about performing, because with the music, you're kind of in control to some extent. The songs are written, you've got these other guys who are up there with you, you know what you're supposed to do, so it's gotten relatively easy to get up and do that. I mean, I still tend to have like 2 or 3 beers before we do a show, but...
Whatever helps,
Yeah, it helps, so that's...
Because the point is so that the fear doesn't mess with your performance.
No.
Because then everything just goes worse, right? And I like how it's inspirational how you made it work, and despite having this, you want to push through it, and you kind of you want to perform, you want to play guitar because that's what you like. So it's very awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it was an important thing to me to kind of get over that, because I really wanted to play music for a long time, but that was, as you can imagine, a really big hindrance when I was younger, and would have this desire to because I was writing music even, when I was a teenager and stuff, but to not be able to just share it with people and perform live was not depressing exactly, but one of those things where you feel like, I just want to do this and I got to figure out how to do it. And so to have, I don't have any grand ambitions for, what's going to happen with the music at this point. I don't think there's a lot of people who hit it big when they're in their 40s or whatever, but just to have done that, is nice to have gotten over that. So
already a huge milestone for sure.
Yeah.
Because I will struggle with that something myself, and especially when you want to sing, because if you're just a rhythm guitar player, there's a way you can just kind of make your way there in the back somewhere, and people will look at the lead singer. So in your case, it's especially okay, I really need to tackle this issue because it's good.
It's interesting how that works for different people. Like I was talking to you earlier about a podcast. It's called WTF, and it's the guy who hosts it is a stand-up comedian. He became more famous for the podcast, but he's got a long stand-up career, and he's also plays guitar and likes to sing. But he's talked many times on his podcast about how singing is incredibly intimidating to him, and he just can't. And this is a guy who will go stand up in front of people for an hour and a half, just telling jokes, with no one behind, which to me seems way, way harder. So yeah, it's very strange, what different people find different
I guess
things.
What are you comfortable with? What you have done? See, and this is what brings me to the sense of familiarity, right? Because from psychology point of view, I just see it as, okay, you know what? You get on stage, and there's 2 things. You're either in your head, so try to get out of your head and just be as present as possible, and then we'll get through it, right? Sometimes in theory it will work, but then when you get there, you get shaky and you're like, okay, obviously this is not working, so what do we do? Now, if you have a beer or 2, would it be possible to wing your way through for 4 performances, and for the 5th one you just take the beer out and be like, okay, we have done this 4 times, no more beer needed? There's already the familiarity.
Certainly in theory. Yeah, and I have thought about that, because alcohol has been a really double-edged sword for me, in my life in general, because that's a thing that it's not just in playing music, but because the stage fright was sort of maybe an extreme expression of what I would say is maybe a general social anxiety. I mean, I'm an introverted person, as are, I think, most of the guys in my band actually, except maybe Max, maybe Martin. They might be extroverts, I'm not sure. So I would, for a lot of times since high school and university, I, would use alcohol to just feel comfortable in situations, and have had a lot of fun with that. And have also had some really bad experiences because of that. And I won't go into detail. So yeah, I've certainly thought about, maybe I should try playing without being drunk, basically, but haven't tried it yet.
Maybe try to trick your brain, like non-alcoholic beer.
Maybe. I mean, the thing is, the tricky part is I enjoy drinking. And actually, even with the performing, it is an interesting thing where, maybe this is getting too much into the weird details of it, but like I had to figure out, like, okay, if I have about 2 or 3 drinks, I'm just kind of buzzing.
So there's perfect limit.
There's an exact right level.
Yeah, there's skill to it.
Or a reasonable level where you're kind of a certain range you can have and perform well.
No sloppiness.
Yeah. Exactly. But if you go, say, 5 or 6 drinks and you try to get up on stage, then you can't sing as well, you can't play as well, your cognition is getting clouded in various ways. So
I agree. No, definitely. I'm not saying take out the alcohol, because for some performance it can make wonders. Definitely, like, make you loosen up.
Yeah.
You can sing better, you can hit those notes better, you can improvise better, because maybe we're too tight to unleash that power at some point. But I also don't want to make, in my case, too, something that you're kind of like very reliant on it every time.
Yeah.
And then sometimes where you go to a place and there's no drink, you're just like, oh my God, what am I going to do?
I thought that, in the unlikely event that we somehow were being asked to perform much more often,
right,
and there was like some demand for it or something, I thought I'd have to deal with that, because, I wouldn't be able to, like some bands, maybe they play 2 or 3 times a week. It's like I can't spend half the week hungover and half the week, So like, since we're only playing once every few weekends, it's like it hasn't really been something I felt like, I gotta try this other way. But it's you're certainly right. Like, it's not great to be reliant on it, and yet.
No worries. If it's like in your frequency, there's nothing. It's just
Well, look, I'm not, and I don't want to advocate anybody. Like I said, it's been good in some ways for me, and also very bad at times. So, nobody's gotten killed. Haven't been to jail yet. But definitely some negative experiences. So I would consider that we've got issues.
So, yeah, I'm just looking for inspiration and some method. So now I'm writing it down. Yep. Hit the perfect amount of drinks. For me, I guess it's 2 beers, don't go over.
Yeah, I would advise that if you certainly don't go overboard with it.
Right.
That's the main point.
Okay, nice. It's very interesting to hear from fellow performer and how they get through it somehow. It's nice, because it doesn't make another person feel like, it's just you having this problem.
Definitely. So, it's nice to hear other people and what they've had to deal with. So, hopefully if that's helpful to anybody, that would be nice.
It is, definitely, for me at least.
Cool.
Okay, let me ask you, another thing I heard from my inner sources is that you guys do a lot of stuff on your own. Recording in the studio, also mixing, mastering. So from start to finish, it's all you guys. Amazing. Yes. That's also what I would like to aim for in the near future, since I heard it's quite expensive to put out an album. Yeah. And I didn't believe those numbers until I ran them by a couple of people, and they said it could be easily somewhere like 600,000 per an album to NT. And I'm like, where does the money go?
Yeah, I guess it really depends on, if you've got like a producer that you're hiring and you have to, rent out a studio and all the equipment, of course, like it can be a big difference.
Right.
Versus like what Ed, our drummer, and myself basically recorded our album, which people can listen to on YouTube and Spotify and iTunes.
So the name of the album?
The name is Light Dreams of Darkness.
And it's from...
I think we put out the first track in 2022, and then we just sort of slowly released them. You know, historically you would just put out like a whole album, but we put them online, the different tracks from the album, over many months. It's all on now. I think it might have even been last year that I put the last one online. But yeah, so people can find a playlist on YouTube. You can find it on Spotify. I think it's on various music platforms because you put it through a music distributor, and they'll put it out in different places. So, but those are obviously the main ones that people listen to these days, I guess. So.
Right, and I would like to play some of your songs to the audience now. Could you pick a song or two, for example, that was the most fun writing it or recording it, or the song that speaks to you the most, or a song perhaps that you would want people who come across your album to hear the first? Yeah,
because of the limitations of playing live, there's like 11 tracks on the album. I think we've played 4 or 5 of them live. We could probably do another 1 or 2, but some of them it's just too complicated to pull off, or we don't have the right personnel. So I guess I would pick one that we don't play live, just so maybe people can hear that. But yeah, there's one called Firewood that I really like. It's a pretty strange song. It's kind of a weird mix of country elements, and I can hear on that one more than probably any others a little bit of Beatles influence, some backing harmonies that are a little reminiscent of the band, if you know who they are. But yeah, it's a weird, strange song, and yeah, I like that one. It's pretty interesting.
blows his horn. And now my face is turning
Speaking of country influence, on the way here, I was listening to, I don't even know this word, Incarnadine?
Oh, yes, it's Incarnadine.
Incarnadine.
Yeah, I believe that's how it's pronounced, sorry.
And there were some country elements as well.
For sure, yeah. That one's probably the most country of all.
Mm.
But yeah, that's also a little weird. I got the word Incarnadine from reading Nabokov, like, stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I read a lot of his books when I was in my 20s. And, I mean, that's a word that's, what is it? It comes from, like, a carne, like meat, or carnival. You know, it's got a shared etymology with that. So it just basically means a symphony of flesh, if that is kind of what the title means. And if you listen to the lyrics, there's, some references to that, I guess. That's a very country song. That's one where we had a guest player on it, a guy in the U.S., the fiddle player on that track. I want to say his name is Jason Roller, but he's played with some really big country acts in the U.S., like Alabama, and I think like Dolly Parton, and he's a really great musician. Yeah, it's an interesting thing now where you can, and I mean, he did it for us. You know, we paid him, said, hey, can you play some fiddle on this? But he did it for like a really nice low price. So,
nice guy.
It was good, and it's a strange thing where now, I mean, I feel like the internet has kind of been a bad thing for humanity in so many ways, and even the music industry and all, like there's a lot of things that I could go into, but that's, there's here and there are some nice things about it where you can just reach out to somebody, some really great musician and be like, hey, will you play on this thing for us? And he did it. And I think it came out really well. So.
Yeah, this is the good part of internet, as you say. You send a demo or you send a song, and here's a 30-second. Could you make a riff into it or something?
Yes, and this guy, I think he probably just knocked it out, like did one or two takes, and was like, okay, like, there you go, and
so good.
So high she crashed and kissed the ground. I picked up all the pieces, now they follow me around. If you love me, let me go. See the way now, I'm out the door. She despised me for the love that I give her. If it could dry by the sun like the river, you know I loved you and you know I loved you well. But lately life has turned into a sad suburban hell. So if you love me, let me go. Oh. 'Cause either way now I'm out the door. Well, I had a dream. I kissed all the girls. They sang to me in tidal whirls. The poetry of broken dreams. A symphony incarnadine. If you love me, let me go. Oh. 'Cause either way now I'm out the door. If you love me,
Okay, last two questions. Do you have now that the album is out, even though it's been in pieces, it's out there, the whole thing now.
Yes.
Now, have you done anything consciously to push it somehow onto people, or are you more of an organic approach and whoever picks it up, likes it, that's perfect as well?
Yeah, I'd say it's probably the latter. I mean, partly just out of laziness, but also, I mean, I'm skeptical of what you can do to, I mean, I'm sure there's all kinds of ways that you can kind of game the system to get more views, and there's probably people who hire robots or some, special service to, and I don't know if that works. Maybe it does to some extent, but I don't want to try it. It costs money.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the thing to do is just to put stuff out there, and it would be nice if it kind of caught on in some way with somebody and, got a lot of listens. But yeah, I just purely as a practical thing at this point, I don't feel like it's worth the effort to do much more than, I've shared links on social media and stuff like that. But even that, honestly, I'm a little reluctant. I feel the whole thing of social media, to me, and maybe this is like an old person sort of view of it, and I'm not that old, but I was old enough to remember when it didn't have any social media to speak of. But the performative aspect of it and like, look at me and like all that kind of makes me uncomfortable. I don't really like it. So, which is not great if you want to, if you do want to promote something.
It's tough.
Yeah. So I've tried to overcome that a little bit, but I'm not like, I definitely don't want to be one of these people who's just constantly spamming people with, look at this, look at what I did. And, it's like, maybe that's a problem, but whatever. I'm cool with it.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, there's all sorts of games and dirty tricks that can be done with, and money, obviously, as it requires. And it's fine not wanting to. You're the person who just puts emphasis on the music.
Yeah.
Rehearsing performances. That's
and look, if I thought it was guaranteed that if I do, then maybe I, if you do this thing, even if it's like sort of not organic and not authentic, but you'll,
I mean, you have to some extent. It can be just like put out an album and nobody knows about it, because then who the music is for.
Well, right. And that is there is an issue if you don't put it out, if you don't push it at all, then I forget what the stats are. I've heard things online where it's like, it's some crazy number of new songs are getting uploaded to YouTube and Spotify every day. It's like I think tens of thousands probably.
Yeah, it could be. And
obviously the vast majority of those no one listens to except maybe the person who uploaded it and some of their friends.
Yeah.
And, maybe not even that in some cases. So yeah, it's easy for content to get lost if, you don't push it in some way. I would hope the live performances are a way to get people to be interested. But yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff about how the music industry works now that I could talk about, but I'm not sure it would be that interesting. But I think briefly, I just think that social media has just kind of devastated the music industry in a lot of ways. I mean, the internet especially, obviously, if you go back to 2000, it's like this multi-billion-dollar industry because people could sell CDs for $20 and whatever, and then suddenly music is just free, and there's more and more people
everywhere,
making it every day and like putting it online. So there are good aspects to that, of course, because they don't have the gatekeepers like record companies. But as a practical matter, I think what it's led to is where you have a few artists who are really, really famous at the top. If it's like Taylor Swift or Kendrick Lamar or somebody like that, who can, get billions and billions of streams and whatever. But the sort of mid-level artists who could, maybe in the old days could sell 30,000 albums and, and tour around, and like that's mostly gone now. Like I think it's much, much harder to make a living if you're not a huge superstar.
Gap even widening.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. It's sort of, it's wealth inequality in musical form. Yeah, exactly. So, and of course in literal, form too, for the rewards of it. And, not like could have necessarily had even a mid-level career, but it is, I think, a bad thing in general that there aren't more people who can get by. But if you take away album sales, and then people have now so many entertainment options it's just hard to get people's attention with new music. So
For sure.
Yeah.
You're correct. That always makes me think of a friend who said, the good news is everybody can put out new music now, and the bad news is everybody can.
Yes, exactly.
So it's tough.
Yeah.
All right, very last question. And that would be, if you had any words of advice for fellow musicians, anybody who's picking up guitar, writing songs, is there any purpose of still doing it when they're competing with billions of songs every week?
I mean, from what I've just been saying, it sounds like no. Like there's probably not much purpose in it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think if people, if they have a passion to do it, then of course they should do it and enjoy it. It's probably not wise to have delusions of grandeur and think that you're going to, become a big rock star or something like that. I mean, some people do, obviously, but it's a bit like wanting to be a, professional basketball player or soccer or football player. It's like a 1 in a million kind of thing to do that. So, But I think, music has its own value, and performing has its own value. Creating things has its own value. So yeah, I'd say, just do it if you enjoy it. And then if at some point you don't enjoy it anymore, don't do it anymore. It's like, that's just
straightforward.
Sort
it
of,
could be.
sort of common sense, I guess. But
Oh, that's great. I 100% agree, because to lead up to, then if you're getting lost in numbers, if you're doing this, if you're doing that, and it's not going to bring you money, then I think you started for the wrong reasons in the first place.
Yeah, I think so.
Most of musicians in Taipei you see do it, they do it because they love it, they enjoy it.
Yeah, you just do it for fun, and and to the thing I was talking about earlier, where I really like playing shows and I enjoy that. All the stuff that goes into it, like the logistics planning and trying to get people scheduled, is not fun. There are times when I've gotten tired of it. And I could imagine at some point, hopefully not really soon, but there could come a time where I'm just like, I don't really need to be doing this anymore. Or you have people like my younger brother. He's got like a child now. It's like 5 or 6. Sometimes your life circumstances just change, and it's like I can't devote the time that I used to, and that's fine too. But inspiring words, I'm sure. But
And that's all we have to say with Kyle from Electric Monk. If you like their music, go check them out on all streaming platforms. And come back next week for a more soulful and Motown episode. Bye-bye.